Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to those joining us from Israel. My name is Gideon Herscher. I serve as the Vice President for Philanthropy at the University of Haifa. Before we dive into an ambitious and I would say quite exclusive agenda today, I want to take this opportunity to update all on the call on what we in the north and in other parts of Israel experienced literally 48 hours ago. And this relates to the Iran attack. I'm looking this direction because I'm looking out my window as I saw the missiles flying by on Sunday night and Monday morning and afternoon. We experienced a barrage of ballistic missiles, many of which were intercepted above the skies of Haifa, with shrapnel landing in different parts of the city. The university was immediately shut down, on lockdown, all the gates, no students, no faculty, only security, until we got the okay from the Home Front Command on Tuesday. And today, Wednesday, we're in full operation. School is back in session. And for better, for worse, final examinations are just getting started as we enter that period, the summer months, which is when preparation for those exams and actually taking those exams takes place. It's important for me not to let that pass by and launch into this conversation without the very uncertain context within which this conversation will take place. Think about it for a moment when you are living under the constant lingering question whether you will be attacked on a given day and how that impacts your behavior, your ability to focus at the university, your ability to teach at the university, to do research. And so I open with those words because I think it's an important background for this conversation. Okay, now here we go. On behalf of the University of Haifa and our team stateside at American Friends of the University of Haifa, thank you for joining today. The name of the program is Healing the North, Training Israel's Next Generation of Doctors During Wartime. An unfortunately very fitting name for the program, given my introduction. And that title reflects both a challenge and an opportunity. So for many years, Northern Israel has faced significant disparities in healthcare access and physician availability when compared to other parts of the country. The region has long struggled to attract and retain medical professionals, which ultimately leaves communities underserved and healthcare systems under increasing strain. Additional context for today's conversation can be seen in the events of recent years that have only reinforced the urgency of addressing those challenges, the events meaning ongoing war. As communities across the North continue to recover from war, recover from displacement and ongoing uncertainty, strengthening healthcare infrastructure is not simply a matter of improving services. It's much bigger than that. It's essential to the long-term resilience and stability and future prosperity of the region. This reality is one of the driving forces behind the establishment of the Herta and Paul Amir School of Medicine at the University of Haifa. The school was launched last year and it was created in a direct response to Israel's growing physician shortage, particularly, as I mentioned, in northern Israel. But it was founded with a broader vision, which is to train a new generation of physicians deeply connected to the communities they will one day serve, one day soon serve. So what makes today's conversation especially meaningful is that we're not simply discussing a new academic institution, we're discussing the people, the future, the people that will define our future. The inaugural class of medical students has experienced a first year unlike almost any medical students anywhere in the world. It's a research project unto itself. Many have balanced medical studies with prolonged reserve duty. Some have moved between military service and the classroom within the same week. Others have witnessed firsthand the realities of wartime healthcare while simultaneously beginning their medical training. Their experiences have tested them in ways no medical curriculum could have anticipated, while also giving them unique insights into service, what it means to be resilient, what does leadership look like under fire, and the profound responsibilities that come with caring for others. Today, we're honored to be joined by Professor Haim Bitterman. He's the Dean of the Herta and Amir School of Medicine, and he's playing a lead role in shaping this important initiative, and he's shepherding this initiative and its first cohort of students. In addition, we will hear directly from three members of that inaugural class, Shani Aya Biton, Yiftach Vardi, and Ron Regev. Each brings a unique perspective, but together they represent something larger, the future of healthcare in Northern Israel and the next generation of physicians who will help strengthen and serve the communities of the North. Before I begin, and we will begin soon, I would like to note that programs such as the School of Medicine and the scholarships that provide the access needed for these students to actually focus on their studies and have opportunities and be trained by the experts. These experiences are made possible through the generosity of supporters who believe in the University of Haifa's mission. So if today's conversation resonates with you, I ask you to consider supporting us, this important work, and you can do so through our American friends of the University of Haifa at afuh.org. Let me say it again. The website is AF as in Frank, UH.org. Because today's program features a structured discussion with our guests, we're not going to be conducting a live audience Q&A. And without any further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome the Dean of the University of Haifa Medical School, Professor Haim Bitterman. Welcome. It's good to have you with us. Haim, we're going to open with a relatively general question. We're interested in insights and wisdom from your experience. The University of Haifa's School of Medicine was launched during an extraordinarily challenging period for Northern Israel. So what we're interested in hearing from you is why was this, in your opinion, why was this the right moment to establish a new medical school? And what specific needs is this medical school designed to address?
I'll start with the bottom line. Thank you, first of all, for being with us. The bottom line is discouraging. Throughout my long life in this country, there was never a right moment to do something. There's always tension. There are always needs which are not covered, and you want to do it. So, but the major initiative is the large and deep shortage of physicians in the country, and especially in the northern part, as well as the southernmost part. Now, this shortage of physicians is being more and more acute and more severe. So the basic intention behind opening the school at any given moment, once we got authorization to do it, was to try and fill the ranks with newly, highly trained new physicians. And we were very happy to get the authorization to do it. Now, as I said in the beginning, there is never a good time to do something with these proportions. You just do it. And the 1 year experience which we had since we opened the school is proving that it's doable, although the conditions around us are really strange and interfering. And we may talk about how we are coping with this. Now, the shortage of physicians in Israel is a long story. We don't want to go into a long lecture, but the bottom line is the country is growing, the population is growing, while the number of trained physicians wasn't growing as fast as this. The other thing is, back in the 1990s, we experienced a large wave of immigration from the former USSR, which brought us many physicians. Now, 30 years have passed, almost 30 years, and they are now retiring. And last but not least, many of the people who get licensed in Israel to practice medicine were educated abroad, and about half of them in schools which are not recognized nowadays as a proper school for giving a license in this country. So all this brought a major shortage of physicians, and this is why they allowed to open 3 new schools. One of them in the Weizmann Institute, which is a small school of 20 students only, and they're going to train MD, PhDs, meaning researchers. Will also practice some medicine, but will not solve the problem. The other is a school in Reichman University, which is a private school. You need a lot of money to join and to stay, and we wish them success. And the only public one is ours. And the public school, which has been generated, open in a public university, and we are very proud of it. And as Gideon has already alluded to, we got enough support to help our students not worry, at least for the first 3 years, about tuition, but this was a chance, this was the opportunity, they had to take it. So this is why we did it now. There's never a right moment in this country.
It's a very Israeli answer, Haim. But the context that you offer, I think, is really important for the people that are joining us on today's call, especially when you made the comparison between Weizmann and Reichman and the types of universities they are and the scope that they're able to deal with. We have in our inaugural class, if I'm not mistaken, 74 students, and that number will grow incrementally every year. So clearly, this was an important time to launch. Can I move on to the next question, or would you like to keep on answering that one?
No, I just wanted to say that the need, the wish to study medicine is so intense in this country that when people knew we were going to have 74 positions, and there were 1,500 applications. Out of them, 1,100 people met the entry criteria. And maybe later we'll talk about what we did at that point. And I thought it's just beginner's luck. And now we open the registrations of the second year. And based on the information distributed by these guys here and their friends, we already have almost 1,500 applicants also this year. So we will be able to lead the selection process. And if you want, we'll talk about it for a minute, which will hopefully result in a second cohort of students, which will be as good as this one. And I'm not, flattering them. They know we think so. Okay, maybe we'll talk about it later. But so the process has started, and for a 6-year program, it's not a typical American program. It's more like a European one. People with high school experience. Most of them did military service. We'll talk about it later. They are mature, they are slightly older, and they're just ready for a 6-year boot camp. And we are very happy to be the boot camp leaders.
So you mentioned boot camp, and this conversation is somewhat different, I think, than other webinars that American Friends has held, because usually those focus on faculty, scientific discovery, and today we're joined by 3 students. But my question still is to you, and we'll get to them in a moment. The question is, given that a significant portion of your inaugural class has been balancing medical studies with prolonged reserve duty and wartime realities, what is it like being the dean of a school that is trying to educate students under these very extraordinary circumstances?
I salute the students again, but let's give some more details. When all the turmoil started, 1/3 of the class was doing miluim, military service. And I looked at this parameter as an indication that the selection process was right. Those are people who are highly engaged in what happens in this country, and when they have to be recruited, they go. Now, the question was, how will they deal with it? And to my surprise, we were expecting a lot of need for help. Hasn't happened yet. Many things happened. The corona period taught us how to teach from far away using the Zoom, etc., and all other tools which the audience are acquainted with. Yet, any student who will have any trouble in covering the substance, the materials, we will help them. Until now, maybe they'll talk about it later, we didn't confront any severe, real serious issues related to that. People did it. People studied during their military service, to my surprise, and we are talking to them. We just led a widespread talk 2 days ago. They raised all kinds of issues. Half of them have already been solved. I told you earlier, guys. But to my surprise, as if it's going smoothly. I'm surprised.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to hear the other side of that conversation in a few moments. But, so then I'd like to move on, Haim, to the next question. Is that okay?
Move on.
Okay. So Northern Israel, we talked about this in the intro, has long faced healthcare disparities, especially when compared to other parts of the country. Healthcare disparities, which includes physician shortages. How do you see the new medical school helping strengthen healthcare access and resilience across this region, the northern region? When you look ahead, into the next 4 or 5 years, how do you see this school making a difference in our region here in the north?
I dare say that the first role of this school is to train good physicians. Well, it's still a democracy here, and people will go wherever they want. But we are exerting a lot of efforts, a lot of thoughts, how to attract those great people to the area. Now, the solutions are numerous, and I'll talk about 1 or 2 of them. The first thing, our area supplies us with a very good and unique opportunity to teach students both at university hospitals as well as a large and system of high-level community care. Although we miss physicians, we have a very good system of community care. So some of the studies will be in a large number of community clinics, not only family physicians, also experts, and what we call tertiary medicine is being performed in the community. This is based on 2 factors. One of them, the largest healthcare organization in the area is Clalit Healthcare, and they own and operate 2 large university hospitals in the area, and they have a 70%, more than 70% market share in the community. So they're really serving the whole area. And we joined hands with them, and this proves to be an opportunity because I've already counted 200 highly trained senior physicians who work both in the community and in the hospital, providing one of the best systems of continuity of care which I've encountered in my long professional life. And this is a great opportunity to join the cardiologists in the community, and they will tell the patient that he needs cardiac catheterization, and we invite him to next Monday to the hospital, and the student will be able to follow it. So without going into too many details, there is an opportunity here of a widespread, very deeply rooted system of both hospital and community and interrelations within them. The same physicians work here, and it really supplies and provides a very high-level opportunity to experience continuity of care at its best form. That's one thing. The other thing, we are convincing this healthcare organization, as well as others, who have a smaller market share, to offer positions to our students. They don't know it yet because they're in the first year, but somewhere during the fourth or fifth year, to offer people longitudinal tracks. If you join us, you'll get this residency in this hospital. You may start to know the people you'll work with, and you don't have to worry about matching, schmatching, all those things which worry students, how they are going to lead the future. The organization are thrilled from the idea. We didn't invent it. It happens in the United States in few areas and in Britain also. So then longitudinal tracks is another source. I'll just talk about another one. There are about 10 others.
Yeah.
Just another one is we talk to mayors of communities and cities, and they are very, very enthusiastic about offering young families, students who have a family, to join their towns, cities, and townlets. While you combine it with longitudinal tracks, we believe some of the students being exposed to the area, who love the area, would love to take opportunity of those programs. Yet, it's a democracy. They go wherever they want. We believe that many will choose to stay. That's a long answer to your short question.
Oh, no, that's important. I think many on the call are familiar with the concept of continuity of care and how important it is, but they're not necessarily aware of the continuity, as you call it, the longitudinal tracks from the medical school into the community, placement, employment, and what that means ultimately for strengthening the infrastructure of the North.
Just one more second. Sorry for interrupting you. It's not that they finish school and they go to the community. They finish school, they go to high-level residency program, and they'll be offered a joint position in the hospital and in the community in a system which allows it.
Understood. And I think that's a remarkable added value for both the North, the University of Haifa, and the students of the medical school. Let's one more question that relates to the students, because this is definitely a webinar that focuses on that aspect of medicine in the North. So when you look at, and I already know the answer to this question because I see you walk around campus as a proud father, grandfather, whatever term you choose, but you seem very close to this inaugural class. What gives you hope about the future of health? What about this group of students gives you hope about the future of healthcare leadership in Israel?
I don't want to be too emotional, but I'll be somewhat emotional. This specific group of students, we just hope we can duplicate it. As a class, as individuals, I don't know all of them, but the ones we know are, I would like them to be residents in my department, okay? Meaning, I'm not talking about friends, etc., etc. I don't want to be too emotional. Okay, it's very un-Israeli to be too emotional.
It is.
Yet, in fact, it reminds me, Iftach, that your father was my resident. Oh, and he was one of the best ones. So hopefully genetics work here. I'm sure it is. Anyway, I'm confident about this cohort of students. I start being confident about the second cohort. So probably we are doing something right. And I think that real-time relationships with the students, as we are trying to perform without nagging them all the time, without sitting on their veins, I think this will bring the solution, because whenever a major issue arises, we at least try to solve it. Some of them we haven't been successful in solving, but most of them we did solve them. So it will provide a learning environment in which they are serious, they work hard, we appreciate it, and we supply them with the means. And it's not going to be easier next year and the years after that. But with this taken together, it could be fun.
Thank you, Haim. You hold many titles at the university, whether it's professor, physician, doctor, dean, but I think what you just said shows a title of just a good human being. So we're delighted to have you on the front lines as the dean of this new
Yeah, I'll
school.
call my wife to hear it just to see.
Yeah.
Okay. She's not sure.
All right, so stay with us, please. And thank you again for being here. I think one of the most powerful themes that emerged from our conversation is that while the School of Medicine was created to address a critical national need, its future will ultimately be defined by the students themselves. So as you mentioned, Haim, this inaugural class has found itself navigating circumstances unlike those faced by almost any medical student anywhere in the world. They've balanced lectures with reserve duty, military service with clinical training, and the demands of becoming physicians during a time of war. Today, we have an opportunity to hear directly from three members of this class, Shani, Iftach, and Ron. All three of you, thank you for being here. As I mentioned to you earlier, we're going to take this very informally. I'd ask each of you to introduce yourselves briefly. Tell us a bit about your background, your role in the reserves, and what inspired you to pursue medicine. And we'll do it in that order: Shani, Iftach, and Ron. So, Shani, the floor is yours for an introduction.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Shani. I'm 26 years old. I actually was born in the US. I was born in Orlando, and I came to Israel when I was about 6 years old. And nowadays I live in Herzliya with my partner. I don't live in Haifa because my partner is serving the army at the south. So this is the most middle we could do in this country. But I'll be soon to go to Haifa, I'm sure about it. I served the army for almost 7 years before I started med school. I was discharged from the army last November, right with the beginning of this academic year. So I discharged and then started med school. During my service, I was a company commander, leading both male and female search and rescue combat soldiers through the training and through all of the serving. And I was supposed to discharge the army last November at 2023, but we all know what happened at October 23. So I needed to stay the army. I had a duty for the army and duty for my country. So I needed to stay for another 2 years to do my part and to have my contribute to the army and to the effort of all the army in this war. And currently I'm studying med school at University of Haifa.
We'll get back to you, Shani, for more, but thank you for being with us, Iftach.
Okay, so hello everyone. For the hardest part, my name is Iftach. We can make a Jeff for the English-speaking audience. I'm 26 as well. I live in a small village right outside Haifa. I was actually born in Israel, but I moved to the States when I was 11. So I grew up right in the Boston suburbs. I did middle school and high school there. And when I turned 18, finished high school, and I guess in the back of my mind, I always knew that I'll come back to Israel to enlist. So I moved back here. I lived in a kibbutz up north. I moved with a group of, we call them lone soldiers, people who move by themselves in order to enlist. So I spent 3 years there in the kibbutz. Regarding the military, I served in the special forces for nearly 5 years. Started off as regular combat soldier, moved on to being a commander. I was released, I want to say 4 months or so before October 7th. So, magically being released and kind of continuing reserve duty as if I was an active duty soldier. So it's been more of the same for the past 3 years. Of course, now I can proudly say I'm a member of the inaugural class of the University of Haifa Medical School. It's a big honor. And that's it, I guess, in short.
We'll get back to you as well. Ron, the floor is yours.
Hey, everybody. I'm Ron Regev. I'm 21. And like these other students, I'm a first-year medical student at the University of Haifa. I was born and I grew up in Long Island, New York, Oyster Bay, if anybody here knows, to an Israeli family. I made Aliyah 4 years ago with my twin brother for the purpose of serving. I have an older sister named Eden. She also made Aliyah. Now she's back in Boston. She's studying dentistry. Both my parents are Israeli, and they very much wanted my brother and I to make Aliyah and to be a part of Israel. And they were very supportive of us. My mom taught my brother and I to read during the Corona. So in 10th grade, I learned how to read Hebrew. And my dad built us a training regiment for the army so we could get in shape. Yeah, they were very, very much into our decisions. I was also in Sofim, which is Israeli Scouts. I was the head of my local chapter, and I was there from 5th grade to 12th grade. And it was something that very much connected me in my relationship to Israel. You're with a lot of Israelis, and you go every summer to Israel, and it's something that brings you even closer. So when I finished high school, a month after I finished high school, my brother and I both made Aliyah to Israel. My brother is still in the military. He serves in a special forces unit in the IDF. I also served in a special forces unit as a combat medic. I finished my service around 8 months ago. I served for around 3.5 years in the military. I even got out a bit earlier because I got into the medical school program this year. I got out 2 months earlier than I was supposed to. And I was in the war from October 7th until around 8 months ago. I was there on October 7th. I was actually still in training when I was sent down south to Kisufim. And throughout the war as a combat medic, as a fighter, I had the privilege to work with many, many doctors and many, many paramedics, which pushed my interest even deeper into wanting to study medicine in Israel. And towards my end of my service, I started applying and looking for medical schools in Israel. And I got very lucky, and now I'm studying here in this fantastic program. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet, and we'll get back to you as well. For those that are with us, you're probably thinking every single member of this cohort speaks beautiful English and has American citizenship, and it's not the case. It is a beautifully diverse cohort of 74 students, different religions, different ethnicities, different backgrounds, and definitely different languages. But for the convenience of this opportunity and this moment, we wanted to bring you these specific remarkable individuals. So now we're going to get to know them a bit better, and I'm going to start with Shani. Shani, your first year of medical school unfolded alongside reserve duty and the realities of war in a way few students anywhere could imagine. So the question that we have for you is, was there a particular moment during this period that changed the way you think about medicine or the kind of physician that you hope to become?
So I'll start from the beginning. So currently, alongside my medical studies, I serve as an operation officer in the general staff of the IDF. And I've already completed more than 50 days of reserve, and only in this semester. So it's crazy balancing it through my service and my university exams and classes and everything. It was a crazy time. Thanks that for now I can focus on my studying. But even though I'm a full-time medical student, I have a duty to serve my country, and I've known it for all of the time. I mean, sometimes it's even the more comfortable thought, because I was in the army for 7 years and I'm a medical student only for 1 year. But I think that the most interesting thought that I have in my reserve is that serving my country and both learning medicine and being a doctor in Israel, they are both duties that I'm so proud that I have the opportunity to have in this country. I mean, it is a challenge to balance all together, and there are days that it might be too heavy on my shoulders. But most of the time, both medical studies and serving the IDF are commitments that I'm most proud of. After my reserve this year, I know for sure that I want to be a doctor in reserve in the army, and I want to come back having the knowledge that I will know after finishing med school, and protecting my country in other way that I've learned and I practiced for it for 6 years and maybe more. And I think that my reserve this year, studying medicine is in this country, in Israel, with all we're going through all this time, is not less important than serving the army. Sometimes it can be even more meaningful by having the practice you have and giving all you have for that. And I think I've learned only now by being also in reserve and studying medicine both in the time.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I'm trying to imagine what that feels like, the 50 days that you mentioned in one semester. What I do know and what we heard from Haim is that, the university does whatever it can to provide you with the support that you need, whether it's extra tutoring or an extra lecture or whatever it might be. But that's not everything. Meaning there's also, I'm assuming there's an emotional toll that is taken as well as you try to juggle these different responsibilities. And maybe Iftach can relate to some of that as well. So Shani, thank you. We're gonna move to Iftach now. Iftach, you mentioned that you spent many years living in the States before serving in the Maglan unit and beginning medical school in Israel. And so the question is, what has it been like navigating the transition between reserve duty and medical training? And how has your perspective evolved through that experience?
Right. So, we'll deal with the first part of the question first. Interestingly enough, I was a navigator in the Army. So, usually navigating through things, you have to build a really precise route and kind of manage to make your way around. This hasn't been this type of navigation. This has been a heads on to the wall. Of course, it's been a challenge. There's no delicate way of saying it. I think spending one night running between tanks and mortars, and the next morning waking up a little late, opening up the computer and watching a lecture on genetics. It's obviously not trivial. But then again, a war is not trivial. Being in your 20s in Israel right now is not trivial. And we learn to adapt. I think, I don't know, part of the military education that I received was, kind of come up with solutions, not problems. So I try to find the best solution and to opening up the computer when I can, and perhaps studying when I'm on public transportation, and sometimes just listening to the lectures. So it's been difficult, but the university has been offering all it can. My own way of doing things is kind of trying to do it on my own and not ask for too much help. So far, it's been working. I hope we'll see in a month's time during the tests, but so far, I think it's been working. And then for the second part about the change of perspective, not to say for the dramatic effect, but I think, being in battle is kind of walking a very thin line between life and death every day, in a way. And of course, fortunately, I've been lucky to stay on the right side of that equation, although many friends haven't. And I think dealing with that every day kind of forces you to make a decision on to which side do you want to stick with. Do you want to stick with the optimistic side that focuses on life, or if you want to kind of stay with the war and the bitterness and the darker areas that we have here. And I think, I don't know, partaking in both surgical operations and also wounded rescue of the wounded, wounded rescue has always been so much more meaningful to me. And I remember just maybe a month and a half ago, I was up in Lebanon, and there was a situation with really an awful mass casualty event. There was chaos and shooting, and the radio was so loud. And then came in a team they're from a unit called 669. They do special wounded rescue, and they came in and they have medics and paramedics and doctors, and that's what they do. That's what they specialize in. And they walked in, and just kind of everything calmed down. It was, I don't know, from the side, it was just breathtaking to see. And it was a little reminder that this whole thing, choosing that and choosing this path is the right thing to do. So I guess just to wrap it all up, I think these past 8 years of service, but 3 years in war has really gone a long way to strengthening the fact that dealing with life and helping the wounded and helping the unwell is the right thing to do in life. So that's my take.
Yeah. I just want to pause for a moment because what you said was very powerful. Thank you for sharing it. I don't know how you have that perspective. I'm proud Army reservist. I'm 51 years old. I've experienced things as well. I can't say that I have that perspective. So I really have a lot of admiration for you. And I also have a little bit of concern for you as well, that you can keep healthy, stay focused, and maintain that perspective that you just shared with us. So thank you.
Sure thing.
And last but not least, Ron, as a new immigrant, an Ole from the United States, who served in the same unit, if I'm not mistaken, as Iftach, as a medic, how did those experiences shape, and you alluded to it a bit in your introduction, but I was curious if you can expand upon it. How did those experiences as a medic in that unit shape your decision to pursue medicine? Just go a little deeper.
Sure, of course. So I'll start by saying this. Medicine is something that always interested me, even before the military. In high school, I took a lot of APs, but biology and chemistry were the things that most interested me. When I made it to the military, that dream became real. I was accepted into a special forces unit and was sent to the IDF combat medic course. And when I came back, because of the way our unit functions and as a special forces unit where you're behind enemy lines and a lot of times you work in very small teams, there is a very big emphasis on the proficiency of medics because you were the first line of treatment. So I got lots of hours of personalized training for this, and it was very, 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 very good and readied me very well for what happened next. My first treatment was on the 7th of October in Kibbutz Kisufim. And sadly, my first patient didn't make it. And afterwards, I had many opportunities to treat wounded throughout the war at very different severities and in very different operations, and with very, very talented doctors, paramedics, and other medics. And one thing as a fighter and a medic that you see is you see the gap between the first treatment that I can provide in the field and what the doctors can do. And it's something that, I have my role, I do it as best as I can, and after a certain amount of time, you sit in awe seeing what they can do and how they can provide life. And working around these doctors during the war made me respect the profession even more. And I remember that after one of the operations, I had a mass casualty event in Gaza, and it was a very hard week and a half. And I got out, and I remember I called my dad and I told him, I know what I want to do. I want to be a doctor. And a lot of it's because you see these doctors and you see how they're calm and they're decisive and they're professional. And above all, they're very human. And these same people that I treated with, they became my role models. And the one thing that always bothered me being in the field too is, it's like I said, you're there in the beginning. You do a very critical step, but once the patient is evacuated, that's it. You're not there for the rehabilitation. You're not there when he's doing surgeries in the ICU. And it's something that, for me, it felt like I was missing out on. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to want to pursue medicine. And towards the end of my service, I started to think about it more seriously. I started checking options in Israel. And there was a lot of difficulties to the process itself, especially as an Ole Chadash. There is not, there are some things that the system is not accustomed for. Although many, especially University of Haifa, helped me a lot with my application, and also the worry about studying in Hebrew. I studied from kindergarten, from K to 12 in English, and it was the first time that I was studying in a language that I learned to read in 10th grade. And I can say that one thing, the university provides a lot of resources, but above that, I think a lot of it comes from the cohort itself, where the feeling between us is not a competition, but people wanting to genuinely help out one another. And honestly, it's a great feeling that there's no, it's like you're sending a message to your friend, hey, I don't understand this, can you help me out? And there's not a single student among us that would not help. And I can say this, that studying in Haifa, and especially in the north, feels like the proper continuation for my service in Israel. And like what Shani said, for me, the next step, above running and training in the field or serving in a special forces unit, The natural continuation to me and feeling meaningful in Israel is to stay here and do what my country needs of me as a physician. And I would like to thank all of you, and thank you, Gideon, for.
So Haim, I'm supposed to wrap up right now, but I'm going to give you the school dibor, the opportunity to say a few words if you'd like, and then I'll wrap up.
I think the right thing to do now is not to say anything. I think the impression is so intense that I can only ruin it. So you see what the people we're working with, not all of them are made of the same substances, and they represent, as you, Gideon, have alluded to it earlier, they represent all walks of life, religions, etc. And they're very special people from other groups of the community here. But altogether, that's a great cohort. We'll follow them and we will not let them down.
Thank you, Haim, and Shani, and Yiftach, and Ron. I'll be looking for you on campus, given that we share mother tongue. And really thank you for sharing from, I think, a very deep place, in some ways a painful place, in some ways a place of triumph. But just thank you on behalf of all those that are still on the call. No one has dropped off the call. So we're all kind of glued to this conversation, which I'm now going to bring to an end. But there will be opportunities to stay in touch, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Today we heard a great deal about healthcare challenges, physician shortages, and the importance of strengthening medical services in northern Israel. But what we've really heard today is a story about people. We've heard from a remarkable group of students who have chosen to pursue medicine during one of the most challenging periods in Israel's history. Their experiences remind us that resilience is not just an institutional goal, it's something embodied by individuals who step forward to serve their communities when they are needed most. And it's in that stepping forward that they discover something about themselves, about what their purpose is, about what their contribution will be to this country. The University of Haifa School of Medicine was established to help address critical healthcare needs in the north of Israel, but its greatest strength may indeed be the students who will carry that mission forward. Again, if today's conversation resonated with you, if the students that are with us and the dean that is with us spoke to you and moved you, then I invite you to support us and become part of what we're doing. And you can do that through afuh.org. Thank you again for joining us, for your engagement, and for your continued support. And with that, we conclude today's conversation.